Hello, my name is Tolu. I'm a Christian dating coach and I specialize in showing you how to get into the right relationship that will lead you to marriage. Okay, so I have something exciting that I really want to share on very quickly. I'm hosting a webinar on meeting and committing to your husband in 6 months. This webinar is going to be held on the 28th of June at 6 p.m. BST, 1 p.m. Eastern. And registration is open, so make sure you click in the link in my bio and first tap to register for this webinar. I'm going to be walking you through the mistakes you're making in dating, what you need to do differently to actually start meeting and dating men you can marry. And after the webinar closes, Wife in Waiting will be open. I'm so excited to welcome new sisters into the Wife in Waiting community, which is my 12-month group program where I show you how to get into the right relationship in 6 months. So make sure to click the link in my bio to register for the webinar. It's going to be packed with details on how you can change up your dating to actually start meeting men you can commit to so that you can meet and commit to your husband. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about signs you're not visible to your husband. So firstly, I want to address what you may have experienced here that is a pain point. So you may have found that men are not approaching you. You're confused as to why it feels when you walk into a room you're invisible. Men never approach you for a relationship. They're either asking about your friend or they're wanting details from you about something completely unrelated, or you tend to get friend zoned. You are never in a position where a man is actively pursuing you. Or you may have noticed that men that do approach you never follow through. So what I mean by that is you may have been going on dates, they don't want to commit to you exclusively. You may have found yourself in situations where you are actually in a situationship where it feels like you're the only one asking the questions, you're the only one trying to get to know them, but they don't make an effort to get to know you. They don't make an effort to spend more time with you. It feels like you're always the one trying to work things out with men and they're just not paying you any attention. So you may be experiencing all these things, and feel free to drop it in the comment section, anything that you've experienced around this. I'm curious to hear your perspective. And if you have any questions for me and you're watching this live, drop it in the question box. But here's what is actually happening. You want to make sure that the way in which you're dating is aligned with the kind of marriage you want to have. And let me be clear about this. I'm talking about you are actively meeting men because obviously you want your husband to see you. You are actively having conversations with men that show them your personality. You are making yourself available for connections that could lead to opportunities and not necessarily relationships, but just an opportunity to expand your network. So there are signs, the signs that you are not visible. And visibility is multifaceted. Visibility can be physical. In other words, people are seeing you physically. Emotional. In other words, you're making an impression on people. You tend to walk into a room and draw attention to yourself in a positive way. It can also be spiritual. And what this looks like is you are making sure that spiritually you are free of any hindrance towards stepping into your marriage and meeting the right man for you, which is why we host the Wife in Waiting Prayer Convention, which is going to be holding next month, the 27th to the 29th of July. Details will be shared shortly. But anyway, visibility has multi layers. It has different layers. So you want to ask yourself, what layer am I struggling at? Is it that you're meeting men that you do find attractive, but it just feels like the connection is off because then you're not emotionally visible? Or is it that you're meeting men, the connection is consistent, but you always hit a wall when it comes to the relationships progressing? It could be a spiritual issue, but it could also be lack of practical understanding around how to date. For example, with my clients in Wife in Waiting, what I like to do is review their conversations with men, look for opportunities whereby they could have had conversations differently. And I've seen situations where they say, oh, Tolu, he didn't say anything, so I had nothing to say. And then I look at the chat and actually that's not true. It was just based on their perception. So you want to ask yourself, where are you struggling with visibility when it comes to men? Because that's where you need to pay attention and that's where you want to do work. If it's physical lack of visibility, what this looks like, going deeper here, is maybe you are seeing men, but the men you see you're not attracted to, or you are seeing men you are attracted to, but they're not attracted to you. And what I like to work with my clients on is understanding that we're not interested in those two buckets of men. Okay, we're just not interested in them. The men that we really want to focus on are the men you find attractive and they also find you attractive. That's the category whereby you're going to find your husband. So that's why I said being visible to your husband. It's not just about, oh, men see me all the time. It's deeper than that, because you're only going to marry one man and you're going to date one man to marry. So it's important to ask yourself, are you attracting men that you do find attractive, and do they also find you attractive? And based on that, how frequently does that happen? So what I mean by that is, the last time you attracted a guy that you were genuinely interested in, was that months ago, was that years ago, or was it a couple of weeks ago? And how can you replicate that occurrence to keep happening? Kind of like how, maybe you want to start a new habit, like going to the gym every week, and you discover that it's really easy for you to go to the gym after you finish in the office, after you clock out of work. So that means next time, that you're just going to make sure you do your gym sessions on weekdays when you're in the office, and if you're working hybrid, the days that you are in the office, just to make it easier for you to go to the gym. Same way with dating. You want to make it easier for you to meet men the way men naturally come into your life. And to be more specific, the way the kind of men you find attractive come into your life, you want to replicate that experience again and again and again. So that's why with my clients, what I do is look for, how exactly is it that you're meeting men to begin with? Are these the men that you do find attractive? If so, why not? Or rather, if not, why so? And if they are men that you do find attractive, where are you meeting them? What are you doing? And how can we make sure you keep doing those things to increase the opportunities for you to be visible in that way? And how can we expand it? So if you're not thinking this way, it's going to be harder for you to be visible, because you're not paying attention to the patterns through which men come into your life. And you may tell me, oh, I've not gone on a date in months, I've not met men in months. Then your problem right now is you're not visible at all. So what I would say is, you want to work on how you're meeting people, apart from connecting with people in the office through events. Are you online? And right now you can't not be online. Okay. A majority of couples are connecting online. It's one of the top ways to meet your partner currently, as statistics stand, to be connected online. It doesn't even have to be a dating app. It could be a social media platform. It could be an online event. It could just be, you guys are both commenting on a video or a post, and you take the conversation to the DMs and it evolves from there. So you want to be visible online. And the question now becomes, how are you positioning yourself online? So with my clients, I literally go through their social media positioning, how they actively communicate with people online. I get into the details of that, because I know that is also an opportunity for you to be visible to your husband. And something else I want you to pay attention to. So a sign here that you're not visible is all these things I've said, you're just not doing it. So obviously you're not visible to the kind of men you want. And I usually get things like, oh, maybe it's my location, my age. It's none of those things. What is actually happening is you don't know how to date for your location. You don't know how to leverage your environment. That's actually what is happening. It's like saying there are no gyms in my area. Well, I'm sure that's not true. It probably is the case that you haven't looked for the gyms, or you haven't done the footwork to be able to discover what kind of gyms suit you. There are men everywhere. So you can't be telling me, there are no men in my area, there are no single men, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. I've literally worked with clients that have been single for years, and within a few months, they're engaged, they're married, regardless of their location. They're all over the place. And when I say all over the place, from America to UK to Nigeria to Ireland, Canada, and so on. So it's important for you to remove that excuse from the table, because it's getting in the way of you actually meeting your husband. If you were to do things differently, what do you need to do? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Stop making excuse of, it's my location, it's my working hours, blah, blah, blah. Find what you can actively do to make the conscious decision to meet men, and you can do consistently. Consistency is very important, because some of you be telling me how I went for events last month, I didn't meet anybody. But the truth is, you can't sustain that because that's not something you know how to do. Or I was on the dating app for 2 days and I didn't meet anyone. Of course, you didn't meet anyone. You were only there for 2 days. So it's important for you to be consistent with strategy. Strategy needs time to be able to produce a result. You don't put rice, if you're cooking, I don't know, rice. You don't say, let me just warm the raw rice for 2 minutes and it will be done. Of course, it's not going to be done. You need to give it time to cook. So let it cook. Let your strategy cook. Okay. Let it do the work for you. And that's part of the work I do with my clients. So when we're going to be, meeting at the webinar, the Meet and Commit to Your Husband in 6 months webinar, link is in my bio and first tap to register. I'm going to be walking you through the mistakes that you're making as you're dating that's actually the real reason why you still haven't met the person you want. Because the truth is, if you are not consistent, like I was talking to my wife in waiting sisters yesterday about their wins, because every so often I like to check in with what are wins, what are we celebrating. Sisters were saying things from celebration of their projects at work to having firmer standards and boundaries with men, to going on dates, meeting more men, actively getting to know men that they're interested in, which is amazing. And these are women, that have come into the program with none of these experiences, that have come into the program with no idea of exactly how to meet men, but they're meeting men, they're making breakthroughs at work, they're establishing their boundaries more firmly, they're learning to communicate their desires to men, which is all amazing. And the reason I'm bringing it up here is I didn't change their routine. I did not change their routine, okay? So you don't need to change your routine. You just need to learn to work with your routine. I'm a firm believer that the way in which you're going to be visible to your husband is just learning how to use your routine to your advantage. What do you already do and how can you do it better, right? How can you leverage your day-to-day activities to meet more men, to meet more people? If you're not doing that, you're not going to be visible. You're not going to be visible to your husband. You're not going to be making connections. A good way and a quick way to check this is, when last did you meet someone new? When last did you make a new connection? Forget if it's man or woman. When last did you make a new connection? Because that's a good way to know how available you are to connect with people. And one of the skills that I like to work with my sisters and wife in waiting on is learning to build more connections, learning to be open to connecting with more people, having more conversations, making new friends, discovering themselves in different ways than they may have done before, because clearly what you've been doing before is not working. Not necessarily because there's a problem with your location or your schedule, but just because you don't know how to use it in a way that will produce the results you want. So in the webinar, I'm going to show you how to start winning in the way you date, instead of just waiting for things to happen. And I'm going to walk you through the 3-step dating framework that I show my clients on, that has helped them to get in relationships in 6 months or less, and how to learn to spot a God-sent man instead of a time waster in like 2 weeks. Because some of you, part of the reason you're not visible to your husband is because you constantly get in the wrong relationship. So you're always talking to the wrong men. You're always talking to men, and the wrong men could be anything from they aren't serious about getting to know you to, they are just kind of dragging you along, or you don't find them attractive. You're occupying the space that your husband should be taking. So that's why you're not visible to him. He can't see you if you're occupied with Tom or whatever his name is, that keeps taking advantage of you and doing whatever he wants, and you just keep taking his nonsense. You're not going to get married that way. You're not going to meet the right man that way. You really need to change the way you position yourself. And by position, I mean the way in which you make yourself available for men to, pursue you. Because the best way to know how you're positioned is, how do men pursue you? So what I mean by that is, what are men willing to do for you? Are they showing up to get to know you intentionally? Are they respecting your boundaries? Are they actively making an effort to, make your life easier, simpler? Are they taking you on the dates? Are they discussing future plans with you? Are you seeing actions that support what they're saying? those are things that your husband is going to do. They are just some things that your husband will not do. For example, he won't be wasting your time. He won't struggle to commit. You know, he won't be gaslighting you. He won't be trying to take advantage of you. They're just some things your husband will not do. And you need to ask yourself, are you dating those kinds of men? Because if you are, that's why you're not visible to your person. That's why he can't see you. So these are just signs that you're not visible to your husband. And kind of, you know, sum it up, it's basically a combination of you're not leveraging your network, you are not actively meeting people, you're not creating opportunities for people to meet you, you are talking to men that aren't interested in you and aren't serious about you. And I'll throw in there another sign that you're not visible to your husband is you just haven't met the kind of men you like in a really long time. You know, I call it a dating baseline, and the concept basically is, with my clients, I like to be able to know, when last did you attract someone you found attractive, and how can we make that happen more often? So a client may come to me and say, I've not been on a date in years. Like some of my clients have come, and then within a month or two of us working together, they've gone on a date or two. So we've immediately shortened that timeline, which means that a lot more things are going to happen over the next few months than have happened for them in the last couple of years, which is why they're able to get in a relationship and get married in a year. It's the same thing when you are thinking about, how can I be visible to my husband? The thing is, your husband will be a forward-thinking man. He will want to move forward with you. And you need to be available for a man that wants to move forward with you. And for that to happen, he needs to see you. You need to be approachable. There needs to be able to be a communication, a connection that can be built on that would lead to commitment. Which is why, you know, in this webinar, I'll really be breaking down the shift that needs to happen for you to actually start meeting men that want to commit to you, that you are excited about. Because so you may say to me, oh, Tolu, I meet men all the time, but they're not men I'm attracted to. Well, that means that information is irrelevant. Because if you're not attracted to the men that you're meeting, then the fact still remains you haven't attracted men that you find attractive. That's still the fact. I don't care if you met 10 men in the last 2 months. If none of them were attractive to you, the truth is you still haven't positioned yourself to attract the kind of men you find attractive. And the reason I'm hammering on attraction is that's the initial point of interest. So what I mean by that is, you know, that's the initial sign that you're talking to someone you could potentially build with. But I see a lot of women, a lot of Christian women especially, ignoring that sign. Some of you will ignore the fact that you don't find that man attractive. The way he talks irritates you. In fact, I was talking to the wife and waiting sister about this the other day, because we were going through, you know, a guy she was talking to. And then I just told her, you know, based on our conversation, that, listen, if you don't find this man attractive, everything he does will irritate you. And it clicked for her that that's the truth. I'm just not attracted to him. So then we got rid of him, you know, and it took she was only talking to him for maybe a couple of days a week. Without that perspective, she may have been talking to him for months, like some of you are doing. Some of you get into entire relationships with men you don't find attractive. The problem with that is, that's not your husband, okay? You cannot grow to love somebody if the seed is not there in the first place. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I've never met a woman that has married a guy that she wasn't attracted to, that somehow started becoming attracted to him. I have met women that have regretted that decision, but I've not met any woman that has told me, I married him even though I wasn't attracted to him and it worked out. I've not seen it. And I don't think that's the story you even want your marriage to be. I believe that the story you want is you and your husband were attracted to each other, you shared values, you were able to build a solid foundation and build a home together and have a family. That is the marriage God wants for you. So attraction is really important. If you are entertaining men you're not attracted to, you're not visible to your husband, because it simply means that you're facing left. Imagine you were facing this direction. You can't see anything here because this is the direction you're facing. So, and if you're listening to this on audio, imagine you're facing left. You can't see anything coming from the right because your eyes are faced left. That's how a lot of you are dating, which is why you're not visible to your husband. He can't see you because you're not facing his direction. So you need to be facing the direction of your marriage. of the relationship you want, of the man you want to be with, who is your husband. So in this analogy, you need to be facing right? So that's a sign that you're not visible to your husband if you keep entertaining and talking to men that you don't find attractive. And I want you to really ask yourself, where am I compromising what I have asked God for? Okay, where am I compromising what I have asked God for? It could be, maybe attraction isn't the issue. Maybe you're entertaining men that don't want to settle down, that don't want to get in a relationship. Maybe you're talking to men that just talk to you for weeks without actually planning a date, taking you out, making the time to actually get to know you. And when I'm working with sisters and wife in waiting, there's no way you'll be talking to a man for 2 weeks and you haven't gone on a date. And there's no date in the picture. It's not possible. Why? Because you're dating to get married. So you need to make sure that you are actually creating opportunity for men that do want to take that step. And it's not by word of mouth. It's not by what they're saying. It's what they're doing. So it's a key aspect of accountability in my program to make sure that my clients, my sisters, are only entertaining men that are actively pursuing them. A lot of you are dating. Another sign you're not visible to your husband is you're dating men that are passively pursuing you. And by passive, I mean they're not taking any initiative. They are not showing any intention. They are not trying to get to know you more intimately. They are self-absorbed. They're looking for how you can serve their interests. And this is why, learning to vet basically means learning to look at the signs, learning to analyze the information you're getting correctly and know what to ask and how to ask it. It's a skill that I teach my clients, because once you know how to vet, you'll understand information much faster. You'll see things a lot quicker. You don't need a month to know if he likes you or he doesn't like you. You will literally know within the first 48, 72 hours if he likes you or he doesn't like you, like happens with my clients in my programs. So it's important for you to ask yourself, where am I compromising my values? What standard am I not upholding? Where exactly, is my area of discomfort? And when I say discomfort, I mean you're not comfortable with the results you're getting there. Or your area of where you are confused. Maybe you just don't know what to do there. Whether it's maybe you don't know how to talk to men, or you are not particularly sure when exactly you should be having conversations around the relationship, or when you should be having conversations around boundaries, or letting him know, that you have a child, or that you were divorced, or you have health challenges, and so on and so forth. Those are things that you really want to clarify that will make you visible to your husband faster, because you will be eliminating the wrong men quicker, right? So that's why you'll be visible faster. So yeah, these are signs that will help you to reevaluate the way you're currently dating, so you can make progress in getting into the right relationship. And make sure you sign up for my webinar to learn what you need to start doing differently. It's going to be June 28th, and it's going to be 6 p.m. BST, 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to click the link in my bio and first tab to sign up for that. And Wife in Waiting will open after that. And that is my 12-month group coaching program that shows you how to get into the right relationship in 6 months so that you're on track for marriage. And, through the Wife in Waiting method, my clients have gotten into relationships and gotten married within a year. And this is really a program that changes your entire dating experience, because I show you how to date like a wife so that you can actually meet your husband, because you can't meet your husband if you're not dating like a wife. And then I'll throw in a bonus tip here. Having said that, another sign you're not visible to your husband is you're not dating like a wife. And how to know if you're dating like a wife is just, how do men treat you? Okay. What are you tolerating from men? Do you tolerate disrespect? Do you tolerate behavior that is negative? Are men constantly ghosting on you and coming back and they still find you there? Because if those are the things you're doing, you're definitely not dating like a wife. Okay, and dating like a wife means you uphold your standards and your boundaries. You are very clear about, you're a clear communicator, and that's a skill I teach my clients. You're a clear communicator with men on what you're looking for. You know how to exercise your femininity. When I say exercise your femininity, I mean embody who you are as a woman that desires to connect with her husband. In other words, who you are as a wife to be, right? these are skills that are going to make it easier for you and simpler for you to be visible to your husband. Okay, guys, I don't see any questions being asked live, so make sure you click the link in my bio and first stop to register for the webinar. There are limited seats, so make sure to register and share it with a sister friend, and I will talk to you all again soon.